What's up, Lions fans? It's been a while. Welcome back to the first episode of Tori's Take presented by Priority Health for the 2020 season. I'm Tori Petry. I haven't been broadcasting here from Xfinity Studio since February, and man, it is good to be back. It was great to finally have an NFL Sunday yesterday, too. I know, it didn't go how Lions fans wanted it to, but before we dive into all that, let's just take a second to appreciate that we even have a game to talk about today. Now, first things first, while DeAndre Swift's dropped touchdown was heartbreaking, it's not all on the rookie. It was a make-or-break play, but that's the thing. This team has got to stop getting themselves into situations where a single play makes or breaks a game. There were plenty of other plays that went poorly in this game to lead them to that point. They had a 17-point fourth quarter lead. That was the story all of last season, too. There were 11 games where they were winning or tied in the fourth quarter, and they only won 3 of those. Make that 12 games now. It's a pattern that has to stop. They rightfully put an emphasis on it this offseason with their dagger time mantra, but unfortunately, we didn't see the effects of that yesterday. The Lions defense gave up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. In my view, there were 2 major things that got them there. One, the momentum totally changed after Matt Prater's missed field goal. I'm not necessarily saying you don't go for that field goal, but the Bears were quickly able to take advantage of the field position and boom, 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 5 plays later, touchdown. The game winner came not long after that. But let's back it up even further. The Lions were down 3 key members of their secondary. Number 3 draft pick Jeff Okudah may or may not have started, but he wasn't even active this week after a hamstring injury that hampered him in practice. Slot corner Justin Coleman, who's essentially a starter, went down with a hamstring injury in the second quarter. Then finally, cornerback Desmond Trufant went down with a hamstring injury as well at the end of the third quarter. Then Mitchell Trubisky started to shine. It's tough to play your best when you're down that many starters. Hopefully these injuries aren't ones that limit them for extended periods of time, but it certainly contributed to the fourth quarter that the Lions had. All that said, while we've seen these Lions in these situations before, it is still just week 1. There's plenty of time to see how this season will turn out. Here's something to be excited about, though. Adrian Peterson. We all know how good All Day is from watching him in a purple jersey for so many years, but to think about the fact that he joined the team officially on a Monday and by Sunday had nearly a 100-yard game is mind-blowing. It would be all we'd be talking about today had a couple of plays gone differently in that game. Peterson finished with 14 carries for 93 yards, and I think it's safe to say he's going to be a pretty important part of this offense going forward. All right, we're sticking with our pattern and still giving you guys our extra point and some fan questions, so let's dive into those. It's a part where we take you around the league and we have a little bit of fun. So today's extra point goes here. The Lions weren't the only ones with the disappointing game yesterday. Just look at all the players whose sad faces got turned into memes after our first Sunday full of NFL games. You've got sad Tom Brady and the Bucs' 34-23 loss to the Saints for his Tampa Bay debut. You've got sad Josh Rosen sitting quarantined in the stands of the Superdome. Josh Rosen looks like his mom made him go to his brother's JV game. You've got suspect Jameis Winston on the New Orleans sidelines. All right, this game had plenty of gems. And then finally, you've got bummed Joe Burrow watching his kicker miss a game-winning field goal. Here's the point. Take a deep breath, Lions fans. As TJ Lang said, there's a lot of really good teams at 0-1 the first Monday of the NFL season. Who knows what this season holds, but you're not the only team with a sad Monday, and at least we've got football back to even feel some type of way about. With that, let's get to some of your questions you submitted on social media. All right, first up, this one is from BD Himlick. He wants to know, how do you think Swift will bounce back after dropping a winning touchdown catch? That's a great question, and the bounce back is going to be essential here. I think one of the key things is how Matt Patricia handled it walking off the field. He said that he put his arm around DeAndre Swift and walked off the field with him and encouraged him. That is going to be key. And then you had Adrian Peterson talking after the game about how he went over and encouraged him as well. Having a leader and an experienced player like Adrian Peterson in that locker room, in your position group room, to tell you that it's all going to be okay, that it's just one mistake and you got to move on from it, is going to be key for this rookie. I think another key thing is going to be getting him some touches next week. get his hands back on the football, let him know that that was just one play. They haven't lost faith in him. That's going to be key for him, and that recovery will be important. I think he is still going to be an important part of this football team going forward. He still did have a touchdown yesterday. We cannot forget that. So I think he has a bright future ahead of him. He just has to move on from that one play. All right, this next question is from John Salt. He says, that loss was tough to take, even though it felt very familiar. Any bright spots in the darkness? Personally, I thought Tracy Walker was excellent. Definitely, Tracy Walker had some great moments in that game, and you make some great points as well. It definitely was tough to see the Lions lose that way again, but there were bright spots. I talked about Adrian Peterson already. That's obviously a bright spot. I'll give you another one. TJ Hawkinson. He had a great week 1 game in his rookie debut. Had some struggles after that. Was not able to finish the year due to injury, but he came out firing yesterday. He had over 50 yards and a touchdown himself. It was really encouraging to see the Lions using the offense to find their tight ends. I really think that Matthew Stafford is going to be going to number 88 quite often this year, and that game yesterday was just a preview of what we will see from TJ Hawkinson going forward. Okay, last question here is from Tyler Gerfin. He wants to know, does home field advantage exist this year? That is a really important question for this COVID era of football that we are in right now. And my answer is, it doesn't exist in stadiums that don't have fans. Of course, there are some stadiums where there will be limited fan capacity, and I think maybe there might be a little bit of home field advantage, but in a stadium where you don't have fans, I don't think home field advantage exists. However, I do think momentum is all the more important in these empty stadiums. We saw it yesterday. The sidelines are the ones that are making the noise in these games. The Bears sideline got so fired up after that momentum switch that I described just a couple minutes ago. The Bears sideline was making so much noise, and most of the stadium noise was coming from the sidelines. So those momentum swings that get your sideline fired up are going to be all the more important this year in those empty stadiums. Of course, there is fan noise. You guys, I think, hear it a little bit more on the broadcast than we do sitting in those stadiums. It's more evident when they turn it off for an injury timeout. But other than that, it is mostly just a steady hum in the stadium. You guys probably hear it maybe a little louder on the game broadcast. So I think the most important thing is going to be the momentum that comes from the hype on the sidelines, no matter what point in the game you are at. We'll see how these games go as we move forward. Of course, the Lions are on the road next week, and we will see what changes as far as the dynamics when they're on the road, and then they will come back home to Ford Field after a couple of road games. But that's it for this week's Tori's Take presented by Priority Health. It was great to be back, and we will see you back here in Xfinity Studio next week.